Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today I am at Lowe's Home Improvement Store. We're in the tool corral, and since I'm here, I thought, what the heck? It might be cool to kind of go over the type of saw blades we use and the different types of saw blades and what they're used for and why we use certain tooth sizes, and we'll get into all that in the video. So if you like this video, don't forget to click that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Let's get right into this. So what you see behind me is their selection, their offering. Saw blades come in different brands and they come in different sizes. Most of them come with carbide tipped teeth. So we always like a carbide tipped blade because they last much longer than a standard steel blade. And there's different sizes, like I said before. So let's get into starting with basically one of the most common size blades that we use for deck building is a 7 1/4 inch blade. This will go on all of our rear handle saws. Basically a skill saw or a D-handle saw, some people call them hypoid, worm drive, whatever you want to call it. This 7 1/4, we have 20 of these in our trailer at any given time because they're great for demolition. They're not very expensive. This one's $8.98. It has 24 teeth and they're made by Irwin. These Marathons, I've used these in the past, good brand. Stanley Black & Decker owns it. And pretty good quality. We use quite a bit of their higher end stuff on some of our finer cuts, but we also use this kind of stuff just for ripping and roaring right through things. So the 40 tooth is more of a finished style blade, and you can still pick up one of those for $14, $13.48. And then they actually have a 60 tooth, which I don't see these too often, for $15.98. Now you can see the difference between a 24 tooth and a 60 tooth. Now, if I cut through pressure-treated lumber with this, I'm going to destroy this blade. It's not going to last very long. But that's why I use a lot of the 24 teeth, because when we're framing with all that pressure-treated hemlock, that's what we use. It's like a 24 tooth. If I'm cutting a lot of PVC or decking, high-end decking materials, I usually go to a 40 tooth blade. I'm not personally going to use a 60 tooth, except for these also fit one of my cordless chop saws. And again, I use that a lot because it's cheap. So we have a high-end Metabo HPT 7 1/4 inch chop saw that's cordless, that this would be a perfect fit. So when I'm cutting those fine miters and angles and different types of cuts on my chop saw, I would also use this blade. Now you'll see different brands. Some people are like loyal or dedicated to a particular brand. We have DeWalt, and there's another company called Spyder over here. So Spyder also has different blades. They have a 7 1/4 inch 40 tooth for $15.98. You're gonna see these blades are gonna cost you a few dollars more. They're probably a little bit higher quality than some of the other ones, but just because you pay more doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting a better product. I've personally used Spyder. I like those as well, and DeWalt blades are always good as well. These are tried and true, and you can rip and roar with these pretty easy, like the 24 tooth. This one has some special vents in it for cooling technology or something like that. You know, I don't know how much I believe in all that hype, but you know, it's a pretty cool blade. Now, to be fair, as far as this video goes, we're at Lowe's. We're not at Home Depot, and Lowe's doesn't carry Diablo. That's a Home Depot thing. They're pretty exclusive over there. But for today, these are the brands we're gonna use, and these are the ones we're talking about. So, you know, if you wanna leave a comment about Diablo or whatever, that's fine. We're just inside Lowe's without anybody's permission cutting a video, okay? So I hope you guys appreciate it, because it's been a little awkward in between cuts. Right, GJ? Studio man? Yeah, right. Oh, and we're shooting on an iPhone today because we're trying to be incognito. All right, so then we also have Craftsman, DeWalt, and larger size blades. These 40 tooth, 10 inch, I used to have a 10 inch chop saw, and I would use this on a chop saw. I would not use a 40 tooth blade on a table saw for me. When I'm on a table saw, I do it for one thing, I rip. I don't do a lot of cross cutting on my table saw. I'm probably gonna do a 24 tooth blade, but I'm probably gonna do something with a little bit higher quality, probably use something like this DeWalt blade, up to 3 times the life it claims. I don't believe any of that. It is what it is. Like, you're gonna get a certain amount of life out of it. When you're cutting and ripping 2x pressure treated hemlock, it gums up, it has a lot of sap in it, you know, so it's gonna gum up and it's gonna dull your blade quicker. You can clean the blades. I know people do that as well. We usually don't. We usually just run them until they quit cutting very well, and then we throw a new blade on and call it good. So you're looking at 30 bucks for a 24 tooth blade. You want to get a little bit finer cut in that ripping. Let's say you're ripping only PVC. Okay, for $1.58, you can go to a 40 tooth. Well, that's sweet. I think that's a sweet deal if you're looking at the budget. And then you get into your 60s and your 80s. Now, a 10-inch blade with 80 teeth on it is comparable to like a 100-tooth blade on a 12-inch. So we use a lot of 12-inch blades on our compound slide miter saw, which are these up here. And here's the 100-toother, okay, for 78 bucks. Now we're starting to spend a little dough, right? Now the saw is 800 anyways, so what's another $100 to put a good blade on it? There's some really awesome Japanese blades that we're not gonna even talk about today. One of my favorites was called Matsushita. I don't think they're longer in business, but there's another company called Tenryu that makes a really awesome blade as well. And so those are blades that I love and would use no problem. Japanese saw blades are some of the highest quality, as well as German. I'd say both of those brands, and then there's a company called Amana as well. You're gonna find these blades at different companies like cabinet shops and some like hardwood resellers, and maybe Rockler. When you go to Rockler, you're gonna find a high-end quality blades, or you're gonna be prepared to spend, you know, $130 to $200 for a high quality Amana blade that you can rip for miles and miles and miles. This 80 tooth, again, is probably a little bit out of my wheelhouse. Probably not gonna put an 80 tooth blade on my chop saw, because even if I'm cutting PVC decking, it's almost too much. It's just a little too much. So I would go with a 60 tooth. This is what I usually use when I'm cutting fine, and when I'm framing, I'm doing that 40 tooth blade. When I'm running framing, I'll do 40 teeth, and then when we get into the finish work, I'll swap out and put a 60 tooth on my chop saw, and then I might do that, and then we'll run a 2-saw setup. So I'll have a 12-inch saw and a 7 1/4 on the cut hubs, and then we'll run like a 40 to 60 tooth blade, which is equivalent to an 80 tooth blade on a 12-inch saw, okay? And we'll run that on the chop saw, and then we're still getting those on the 7 1/4, and we're still getting those really fine cuts. All right, so I was just kind of looking down lower, which is kind of difficult, you know, you're like trying to shop for saw blades and you gotta get down on your knees. But you can get two 40 tooth blades, marathons, for 39 bucks. So you're paying 20 bucks a piece for them, and you can get a Craftsman for that price, but the DeWalt is $10 more, $32 almost. So that's a pretty sweet deal. So sometimes when you buy in bulk, you can get a little bit better price. Now, I'm just curious what the heck this is. This is a diamond-tipped tooth DeWalt for laminate and fiber cement board. This is a 10-inch one with only 12 teeth on it. So this is really cool for like if you're cutting a lot of siding, you can set up a chop saw with one of these. They have a 12-inch version as well, and they're $100. Interesting for laminates. You know, I would consider maybe putting this 10-inch on my table saw. This thing would rip like a beast because there's only 12 teeth on it. I might actually do that. Send us one of these for testing, DeWalt, okay? What other blades are there? I see a dado blade right here, this black one. It's an 8-inch blade. It'll fit on a 10-inch table saw. And what a dado blade does is you can stack the blades together to create a rabbet or a dado in a board like this. And you can put these different blades and shims together, and then you can rip out all kinds of different depths of a particular product, or maybe some 2x4s or something like that, where you need to channel something out. So it's really good for creating channels or rabbets, or like if you're overlapping things and you need to set it together. So that's also a cool blade. I have one of those, but I don't use it very often because in my line of work, I don't really need it too much. All right, guys, that's about all the circular saw blades that are available in this section of Lowe's Home Improvement. So I hope that helps somebody. If you're new to construction or deck building and you just needed some good information about the circular saw blades, I hope that helped somebody out there. If you like this video, please click the subscribe button, hit that bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content, and don't forget to like this video and leave us a comment below and let us know how we did. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.